Yeah, what up everybody? It's your boy Matthew Maley from MatthewMaley.com, back with another video. Just finished the 4th event of the Arizona Poker Tour, and wanted to do a quick wrap up of it and let you guys know how the action went. First off, I gotta say, sadly, I did not repeat my back-to-back second place performances. In fact, I didn't even come close to that, sadly. But just had a couple big hands and wanted to kind of tell you how they all went down and play through them and everything. So we actually had a pretty good turnout. This is the second to last event, and I think a lot of people are going to be out of town for the December event. So this was a pretty solid one. I think we had 28, maybe 29 people. I'm not positive, but it was better than the last two. So from the start off, I actually was sitting at a decent table. There were, on either side of me, were pretty solid players. This guy Mike was sitting to my left, and I played with him a decent number of times. Not a ton, but he's come over to my game a few times. And then on the other side of him, I cannot remember his name. There's another person that works for our company, but he's actually a pretty solid player. I played with him a few times at this tournament specifically, never anywhere else, but he's a pretty solid player. As well as there were two other players at the table who were good enough to worry about, and then a few that really weren't anything that special. But started off pretty standard. Was just trying to pick my spots, make a couple moves here, make a couple moves there. Woke up on ace king one hand, raised, took the blinds, and actually two people had called pre-flop. I'm sorry, before my action, so I took that down. But I was really just kind of, you know, coasting up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little bit, down a little bit. I try to play small ball for the most part. I've been watching a lot of stuff online and some just World Series stuff from Phil Hellmuth, and I can't stand the guy. I think he's the ultimate douchebag, but he is also one of the ultimate Hold'em players in history. So I have been trying to use a little bit of a strategy for a couple things, and have really been practicing the whole limp pre-flop, either under the button, under the gun, all the way down to about the button, which is something he does a lot of, actually. I know a lot of people don't like it because you don't know where you're at with it. I don't really like doing it with very strong hands. Every so often I will with a hand like aces or something like that. When you are 99% sure that somebody in a later position is going to raise, then you can repop them. But I like doing it with suited connectors and kind of like a two-face hands, or hands I usually would muck, but the blinds are so low and my M's so high, it's worth it in my opinion to call the small blind, hope it gets to see a cheap flop, and maybe I'll strike lightning in a bottle and, you know, end up getting paid off pretty well. So that's actually what I was thinking when I was dealt 5-4 of spades on the button. And two hands prior, I'd made a steal when I was probably third to act. I made a pretty big steal with like an ace-4 or something, and got both the blinds to fold and was able to take it down. I like stealing right around that third to act, to under the gun, just so I pay for my blinds. So regardless of what happens with my blinds, I definitely have that covered. That's what I try to do that at least every couple rounds, regardless of what I have. But remember, people, if you're watching this and analyzing the play, don't know what I have. So I'm going to be doing the exact same play with aces, so watch out. Just want to throw that in there. But so I ended up getting 5-4 of spades under the gun, and I just called the blind. Ended up, flop came 5-4-9. It was 9-5-4, two clubs. So I was really, you know, the club scared me a little bit. There was a little bit of a straight draw on board, but especially because the big blind didn't raise or anything. So it was just myself, the small blind, and the big blind. They both check. I put a, no, I'm sorry. Small blind checks, big blind makes a bet, I end up calling. And at this point, the blinds were 5,100, and I believe he made a bet of like 200, 225, something like that. So I ended up just calling. And I probably could have raised there just to see where I was at in the hand. But for some reason, I just didn't really feel like it. I probably should have, just in case that flush draw or the straight draw got there, so at least I could have had an idea, you know, where I was at. And if I would have raised, I might have been able to take the hand down right then. But I didn't. I just called. And I really am not sure why I just called, to be quite honest. But it just felt like the right play there, especially because I hadn't played a whole lot of hands with the guy that was in the hand. was in the hand with me. So I kind of wanted to keep it a little bit small ball. really because I didn't know where I sat. So turn card, I hit my glory, and I end up picking up the another 5. So I have 5s full, and now I feel great. Now I hope a club hits and he hits his flush or he hits his straight or something like that. So end up he checks, or I'm sorry, he bets again. This time I think it was like 450 or so, 400, like from 350 to 450. I end up calling again. River card comes out, an ace. So now, if he was sitting on 2-3, his straight came. You know, if he was, and it wasn't an ace of clubs, so that was the only thing there. You know, I didn't have a great range for him. I thought he might be on ace king and was just trying to push me off, but then why wouldn't he have raised pre-flop? So really I thought maybe he just had a couple, you know, faces in his hand, or maybe a weak ace, and he was simply just didn't think that I had hit anything and was just trying to buy me off of it. So he bets at that point. I think he bet like 280. It was a small bet for how much was in the pot, which always made me feel like he was trying to value bet. I was confused by his bet, so that's what I was really hoping that the straight did hit. I ended up raising him. I ended up repopping it. I think he bet like 250. We'll say he bet 250. I ended up raising him to like 650 if I'm not mistaken. And he thought about it for a while, and then called. And the first thing he said was, "Wow, I really wasn't expecting you to be playing suited connectors." So that was nice. He ended up having ace-9. So he actually hit 2-pair on the river there, a better 2-pair than was on the board. But you know, still was a little bit of a scary board for him as well. But he did make that call, so I ended up picking up a pretty good pot with that. Ended up a few hands later, I ended up running into, I had pocket kings, couldn't get any action, so I took down the blinds and antes. Ran into, got cold decked a little bit where my ace-10 ran into ace-jack. Had another time where my ace-9 got out-flopped by ace-8. So I'd been on a roller coaster. Finally put some decent hands together. Really wasn't even doing anything spectacular. I was just playing some solid poker and was able to just grind it out to the point where I was at about 3,200 in chips. Probably second in chips at my table, but it was pretty close. The person who was in first was pretty close. We knocked out probably 8 people had gotten out by now, and blinds were now 75-150. So I ended up, no, I'm sorry, they had to have been higher than that, because 25-50, 50-100, 75-150, or 200. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, it was 75-150. I'm sorry. I don't know why it was. Yeah, it was definitely 75-150 because I remember how the hand progressed. And I picked up pocket jacks, 2 blackjacks. I was in the big blind actually. So action goes around, 4 people call, and I raise it an additional 450. So I make it 550 total. So I end up fold. The guy on the button calls me. So pretty decent pot now. You know, you figure there's what, 975 in the pot. Flop comes up. Blank. I think it was like 9 trade deuce, 9-5 deuce, something like that. No, it wasn't a 5. I think it was no, it was 9-6 tray. It was 9-6 tray or 9-6 deuce, 2 clubs and a diamond. So I make a bet into it. I bet, I want to stay like 600, and he made it. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's correct. I bet 600. He made it to 1,600. I ended up pushing all in. He thinks about it for a minute, and at this point, I'm assuming that he didn't flop a set. I'm hoping he didn't. If he did, I'm dead. You know, it's just life. If you flop a set of 9s, you know, that's life. That's just what you got to deal with. I hate jacks anyway, so that would just be kind of par for the course. Or I was thinking he had a flush draw, which I was giving him the wrong odds to call. When you really break it down, he was only laying like 2 3/4 or 3 to 1 when he needs 4 to 1. Even if you add in the other 3 outs of his ace, if he figures that I have an overpair, he's having to give those extra 3 outs, but it still doesn't make it a good enough call. I guess if you really wanted to bring in the aspect of implied odds and the fact that if he hits his flush, he, you know, pretty much clears my stack out, I guess you could almost justify it then. I personally still don't think was a good call, especially when you look at how many chips he had, he was right below me. So really, if he loses that hand, he was out of the tournament already. But, I mean, are you really going to risk that on just a 4 flush? Which, yeah, it was the nut 4 flush, but it was just a 4 flush. So he ends up calling it. Turn, blank, feeling good. River, he hits his club. What are you going to do, you know? And sadly, that was damn near my tournament. That cut me down so far. I ended up having, I want to say, like 300 chips left over, 400 chips left over. I think, yeah, I had like 450 because I had 3,200 before the hand. He had 2,800 before the hand. But it just, you know, that was just life. I mean, sometimes those races you're going to lose, and I've been running well enough lately that I hadn't been losing them. I hadn't even been getting into many circumstances where those races were even happening. But ran into it, and sadly wasn't able to not get drawn out on. So I mean, it wasn't a horrible call. I understand it. I understand making that call all day at a cash game, all day. I even understand it if he either has a lot more chips or a lot less chips. But the fact that he was sitting, you know, probably 3rd or 4th at the table, whether I was 2nd or 3rd, I don't really remember. He was sitting well. I mean, he was in a good standing. Plus, I mean, he'd been getting pretty lucky, so I just look at it like, you have that many chips, why not just kind of relax a little bit? Why are you going to risk your entire tournament on that, you know? I mean, and what if I had a better ace and his ace was actually dead? So what if he really was just drawing only to his club outs, you know? I mean, yeah, I personally wouldn't have made that call. I understand the implied odds make it a lot, you know, more enticing call, but at the end of the day, I really still don't feel that it was a good call. Of course, I also got knocked out, so that's life. But so of course I don't feel it's a good call. But ended up a few hands later, picked up Jack 10, I think, and got called actually by the same guy. I actually doubled up. That's right, I doubled up with Queen Jack against pocket 5s. Ended up hitting a Queen or a Jack, one or the other, and ended up taking that down. And then a few hands later, ended up losing to the same guy who got to flush with another flush. He hit runner to hit it. But it is what it is. He was actually ahead during that one anyway. I think he had an ace, and I had like, I think he had like ace 6, ace 4, something. It was a rag ace against my king 9. I love king 9, but it didn't hit, and that's his life. So I ended up getting knocked out, which really does hurt me for the championship. I was really, if I could have another good showing then, I was going to be sitting pretty well. It sucked because I missed the first week. So since I missed the first week, I have to drop the 0 instead of being able to drop this one as my lowest score. So technically I have 2 2nd places and like a 20th place. So I'm going to have to do really well the final event, which is, I believe it's December 15th. So hopefully I can get a good run together and get another 2nd place and guarantee my spot on the championship. So I'm going to have to go back through and look at the leaderboard and see exactly who I'm going to have to finish ahead of, by how many points, do all the math to see what's possible for me to even make the final. So hopefully I can have a good showing and make a run at that final table. But we'll see what happens, you know. It is what it is. I still feel like I played well. I feel like I made all the right moves. I don't feel like I made any mistakes. Just got unlucky. So, it's your boy Matthew Maley from MatthewMaley.com. Thanks for checking out my videos as always. If you're up on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. If you're up on Twitter, follow me at Matthew Maley. Of course, like my page, Matthew Maley Poker. And as always, MatthewMaley.com. So, till the next one, thanks for checking out my videos. Peace out, y'all.